Like, just go over like his conviction or whatever. Like, let's just like, if that's what you want to do, because right now this is just like a big like assassination hit piece, right? It might be true, I guess, but like that's all he's doing right now.
If we allow this to go unanswered and underresponded, as I've shown you multiple times.
Well, but it already did. It sounds like he served 41 months in prison for it. What more do you want? Mike explicitly said he doesn't want to cancel him. I don't know why he said that, because the entire video is him just trying to cancel him. So yeah.
What do you think about it?
I mean, obviously it's really shit. You shouldn't be helping to funnel illegal immigrants. You were basically trafficking or working as like with the traffickers, which is bad. But I mean, he served his time in prison. I hope he's not doing it anymore. So yeah, I don't really care about it now. Beau, if you're listening to me, somebody that likes your videos, this is the only thing you can do. You can say, hey guys, what's up? Howdy y'all, it's Beau here. I got some things I want to talk about. I done made a lot of mistakes in my past. I paid for them. I went to prison. I did my time. And now I want to move past it. Thank you all very much. That's your video, okay? This whole, like, I can't talk about it, I could sue people for this, blah, blah, blah. This ain't it, chief. His initial assessment actually was probably correct. If he would have just opened up with saying, like, guys, I've done bad stuff in my past, like, blah, 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 I think people still would have canceled him. I don't think he could have ever gotten to where he is now. What is this? Sorry, hold on. Let's talk about Beau of the Fifth column.
Hello, everyone.
I feel like Mike looked way better with the shorter hair. Is that just me? I'm not feeling the ponytail thing. Maybe I just get weird hippie biker vibes from it. Mike from PA, back on the surfs. Uh-oh.
I mean, let me start by saying that rather than we just scream over each other, we'll let one person speak and the other person respond. We'll just keep that going for as long as we can, right?
Cool. Okay, sounds good.
Scott Bradley likes girls.
Go ahead, hit it.
Like your mom girls.
So,
all
right. So
Steven?
you admit didn't you also say he could quote disappear me? Is that something that you said?
DGG for life. Cool.
Should I respond
face.
now? I believe what I actually said was you have to be really high to piss off a professional operator, because a professional operator can both physically disappear you off the face of the planet and digitally disappear you and make things just come and go at will. I mean, considering that you spent, the last 10 hours calling him
This is a threat. Like,
I'm saying nobody in their right mind would fucking piss off a professional operator who you literally just spent the last 12 hours calling a human trafficker, i.e. somebody who can make people disappear from one place and appear in another.
Wait, so he isn't a human trafficker, or I should be scared? Which one is it? I'm confused.
I know you're confused. It's part of your charm, Mike.
Well, you can explain it to me, because I think everybody just saw you threaten me, and that was really cringe.
I don't think
I should be frightened of Beau doing something to me.
No, I didn't imply that. I implied that somebody must be high to want to piss off a professional operator.
Okay. Since you brought
you
that
high?
Up, what did Beau do?
Are you high?
Okay. Let's one thing at a time. One thing at a time, everyone.
I just want to interrogate this. So Beau is a professional operator. Now, as far as I know,
what does an operator mean when they say that?
Gray operator, which means he never worked for the U.S. government, but he worked for like companies and other organizations. Do you have any like background? Has he actually talked about some of the operations that he did? I know that he was the bodyguard of Oliver North. Is that correct? The guy who did the Iran-Contra scandal and who was the president of the NRA?
Yes, your followers put that picture in your Discord channel about 9 hours ago.
So he was a bodyguard for Oliver North.
I can't confirm or deny that. I believe Beau could. But I believe I saw the same picture that your followers supplied for you in your Discord channel.
Okay, so you were in my Discord looking at some of the stuff people linked.
I've been on your Discord for the last 16 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Hackstock, how are you?
The guys.
Oh God, the cringe. There's so much cringe from all.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you're not ready. You say he's an operator, but you're not comfortable talking about any things that he did. That
no, I said that
as a leftist.
I didn't say that. I said it's my place to neither confirm nor deny what somebody else did. What's the term for that when you make assertions about something that somebody else did that you weren't personally involved in? I believe there's an expression for that. People who went to law school, I believe, would know that. Oh, that's called hearsay. That's right.
No, hearsay is an out-of-court statement used to prove the matter is asserted. So when you're in court bringing out a statement to prove a thing that was it has nothing to do with like somebody else talking about somebody else.
I cannot confirm or deny other people's actions unless they have specifically discussed those specific actions.
But I thought, okay, so you said that I was, okay, again, I'm happy to talk to Beau, but he seemingly refuses to talk about this. He refused to talk about it on his 100,000 subscriber stream.
So you messaged
talked
him.
about, okay, I mean, admittedly, I didn't, because I was told that he was going to be making a video.
Why would you say you tried to talk to him? Wait, did he say you tried to talk to him? Maybe I misheard.
That was going to refute everything I had to say. He was going to do a response video. And so I wanted to make sure that there was a presentation of what I had available so that he couldn't just do a spin narrative, because I had seen people out there, especially people in your community, saying that he was a good guy who had like helped people cross, like a coyote to help refugees. And that's something that he said before. And that's not what's apparent in the documents, not just from the police, but also from Southern Poverty Law Center, from the University of Florida's human trafficking report that was written for the Bar Association of Florida. So I wanted to make sure that evidence was out there before, like, you know, obviously he's huge on YouTube and I'm not a YouTube guy. And I don't have 600,000 subscribers. I have a small channel. I know that I'm not significant in the face of somebody promoted by, you know, a lot of powerful money interests to prevent Silicon Valley from being regulated. So I know that everything I say is going to be running up against a much, much larger communities. I did so to be transparent. Maybe I got some things wrong there. I'm happy to correct them when they're brought to my attention. And my main contention here has been, please, Beau, can you be honest about what happened? Explain it and like be contrite, because like you say that this is an alt-right talking point. If that's the case, if this is something that the right is going to use to attack Beau and undermine the left, you know, I think it would be damaging to advocates of immigration reform.
Oh my God, this is such a stretch by him.
human smuggling, right? Like, couldn't that be used to, like, for normies and people that are in the middle? Won't that turn them off from our position? So isn't it responsible of him to like come clean?
Well, considering that you and your community started working on that video an hour and a half before I even went live yesterday, I would say that you've now done 5 of these shows today, and you've clearly ironed out your talking points, as opposed to this morning on Chud Logic when you were tripping all over yourself. And I'm glad to see that you've ironed this out after 17 hours of video work and 5 appearances today, Mike. Finally got it ironed out.
Okay. First of all, like, I'm not getting paid to come on the Lance's stream. I'm doing it because
I can't confirm it.
Hold on, I'm pausing.
I'm being attacked, right, by a lot of people, including you. And I have the position I have, and I have the evidence I have, and I'm begging for contrary evidence that's not based on who I am. I know a lot of you don't like me, and you never will. I'm okay with that. Okay. But what I would like you to do is reference the facts and reference what happened.
Can I ask a fair question? Okay, I'm going to ask a very fair question. If in the now 32 hours since you first had the idea to do this, if you had wanted any of these answers legitimately, you would have legitimately contacted any one of the players in this.
That's true. So I think, something can be wrong, but I think that a post went up about Beau about some weird shit like a couple days ago on BreadTube, and Mike was probably ultra fucking thirsty to be the first one on it, because he wants to get that initial clout, that big like first mover on a drama to get a ton of views on it. So that's why Mike probably didn't give a fuck about the research or even the issue. He just saw it blowing up and he's like, oh fuck, I gotta be the first one on this.
Later, I'm really just crusading for the people on the left who can't speak for themselves, and I'm just looking for answers when I couldn't be bothered to ask the source for those answers. This is your spiel, Mike. This is why nobody takes you seriously.
All right. So your belief is that whenever someone on a Twitch stream is discussing a pressing matter, that they first must contact the people and proceed with your level of journalistic intensity.
No, if you are going to make a 35-minute discovery video on YouTube where you put up legal documents and you make assertions that people traffic humans, then And you want
to believe that I
answers?
should contact the people. They're going to want to come on my Twitch stream to discuss their participation in a human trafficking or a human.
Do you think it would have been fair to reach out to them? I think more is this question.
No, I absolutely think it's fair to reach out to Beau. But James here, and I again, this is me publicly reaching out to Beau right now. I haven't gone on my Twitter account and made a bunch of accusations and attacks. I haven't gone out of my way to like attack Beau and try to humiliate him. I've made my video. I've asked for him to respond. It's not an effort to destroy the guy. That's just something these people are cooking up in their own mind. And the reason why they're going to the clout is because they can't discuss the facts. Because I'm not getting much clout out of this. It's not like I'm getting super boosted. Beau's viewers are not on Twitch. That's where I am. That's where my money is made. It's just baseless. What I'm trying to do is get the facts out there. And quite frankly, it doesn't seem like any of you care what they are. It seems that you guys have an emotional bias. You're a friend, so your bias is clear. You don't want to see your friend hurt. That's human. That's normal. I get it. But for the rest of us who are not connected personally to Beau, who haven't been his friend for 10 years, I would like him to answer. If he and I don't believe he comes on streams like mine to talk about his past. I know he did talk on that on a libertarian, right-wing libertarian channel.
Can I ask a question, man? Lance?
Yep.
How many times has Beau appeared on your Twitch broadcast?
Twice, I think, or 3 times.
Okay.
Okay. I mean,
would you say he's a difficult person to get in touch with? Was he difficult to get in touch with, Lance?
No, but I don't want to also say that like is someone like you have to be followed back on Twitter before he'll talk to you, right? But I've personally never had any trouble. I don't think I'm a good metric for like what the average person could do in terms of reaching out to Beau, though. Just to be fair.
Mike's not an average person.
Oh yeah, true. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
He's not a schmuck. Mike's got check marks on multiple social media platforms. He's not some jackhole who just wanders in and goes, I demand answers, Beau.
Okay, well, if you feel that he would talk to me, I didn't believe
I don't
that
know
he would,
that he would talk to you.
I will offer it. I will say, hey, let's go over this. Bring all the documents. Now, you also implied
34 hours after I made the video. That's the problem, Mike. This is the problem you keep blowing past. Oh, well, maybe I should have reached out to him, but I didn't. And oops,
I was told
already filled.
James, did you not publish the idea that he was going to make a response? Why would I need to bring him on if he's going to publish a response? Didn't you run away? Didn't you directly message him immediately after I started uncovering these details?
No, I actually messaged him about 10 minutes after my stream went live when somebody DM'd me all the shit-gibbonness that happened.
Okay.
And then
by the way, do you know who came up with the shit-gibbon line? There was a Democratic state senator called Trump a shit-gibbon.
It's money. It's a money.
And that guy has now been bounced out of the Democratic Party for sexual harassment. So good quote.
Yeah, wait till somebody explains to you that there are no great writers, only great plagiarists.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
All right, let's focus.
What is happening right now? I'm so confused.
It's just one of those cringe things. Anyway, his name is Dalen Leach, chat, if you want to look it up. Anyway, okay, so you're mad at that I didn't reach out to Beau. Okay, fair enough. I will talk to Beau if he'll talk to me. I will clarify this. And had it been publishing this with an editor, I'm sure they would have suggested that. And I absolutely agree that that's a good thing. We should bring Beau on to talk about it. So Lance, if you would reach out to him for me and say, hey, Mike from PA wants to talk to you about this stuff, and he's a good faith actor. He's not there to hurt you. Come on to his stream and let's talk about this. And
I'll be totally honest though. The reason I laugh there is that if I had seen someone make a video about me in the way you did, it would be hard for me to approach that like that. This is a good faith. It's going to be a good faith interaction.
What was the bad faith part? Do you think?
With the video?
I mean, you say like I said he made millions, and I don't have the best evidence for it, other than like the court documents and so the conspiracy made millions. So whether or not he personally made millions, I don't have.
All right. Mike's video. Here we go.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Mike from PA, and we are here to talk about Beau of the Fifth Column. Beau is a famous lefty YouTuber with over 600,000
A famous? Is that what he called him? A famous?
subscribers. Beau is a famous lefty YouTuber with over 600,000 subscribers, known for his big unkept beard and his southern drawl. Beau has been growing in YouTube and becoming a larger and larger influence on how the left is perceived, both on this platform and in much of the discussions of leftism on the internet as a whole. Recently, I was disturbed to find out that he had a checkered history, and his past behavior in exploiting workers, vulnerable people, including female immigrants, young women, 19 years old, brought here to work for less than minimum wage, and he personally profited. Beau has not shown any contrition whatsoever for these actions. And before we get started, this video is not intended to cancel someone, to be a purity test, or do anything to damage the leftist community as a whole. I am making this video because I believe it's important that we on the left hold each other accountable, especially when one of our own refuses that accountability. For those of you crying that Beau has become redeemed,
I'm sorry.
He's doing a lot of good for the left. The first thing we must wrestle with is that for redemption and forgiveness to happen, one must show contrition. One must show remorse. One must show transparency and honesty. Beau has done none of those things. He continues to misrepresent what he did and why and who he was. And that is not acceptable for us on the left. What worries me most is that his voice is being advanced over others, while he has personally profited from the exploitation of recent immigrants in some of the most vile ways you can exploit someone. And we are going to go over in detail, using both primary documents, the testimony of the women exploited themselves, and the interpretations of both law and policy from a number of sources. I don't relish this, and I don't want to destroy anyone. But what I do want is that our cause to be advanced, the cause of the immigrant and the impoverished and the exploited, to be alleviated. I want to see progress in this country and this society. And that will not happen unless we start showing accountability and honesty for the exploitation and harm of the past. Now, before we begin, I want you to know what we're talking about exactly. And I'm going to go to Beau himself to show you what he says and who he is.
Now, one of the questions that pops up, not one of the most frequently asked questions, but one of the questions that pops up kind of often, am I a convicted human trafficker? No, of course not. That's stupid. I'm a convicted alien smuggler. There is a difference.
So Beau is absolutely right that there is a difference. And we're going to explain why he has been called a human trafficker, not by me, but by many legitimate sources and organizations that try to combat human trafficking. Beau is right. He's technically right. He was only convicted of alien smuggling and fraud and deception of those that he smuggled. But if you look at the facts of the case, you will find that he wasn't some coyote fighting to help people escape oppression as refugees. He was the most vile type of human trafficker. Somebody who brings people here under false pretenses and works them for sub-minimum wage, houses them in crowded conditions, and then exploits them for his own personal profit. I draw your attention to the United Nations definition on human trafficking. Human trafficking is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of people through force, fraud, or deception with the aim of exploiting them for profit. Men, women, and children of all ages and from all backgrounds can become victims of this crime, which occurs in every region of the world. The traffickers often use violence or fraudulent employment agencies and fake promises of education and job opportunities to trick and coerce these victims. I draw your attention to the fraudulent employment agencies because that was what Beau did, and he made millions of dollars doing it. This is who Beau is. Justin Eric King. He was sentenced 41 months in prison, followed by 3 years suspended release, resulting from his conviction on charges of conspiracy to commit visa fraud, and conspiracy to commit alien smuggling. The defendant and his co-conspirators brought illegal aliens, mostly from Bulgaria and Romania, to work in the hotel industry in and around Dustin, Florida. And that is where the trafficking comes in, the labor exploitation. Here, and in case you're wondering, here is a report from the Southern Poverty Law Center that cites his case called Culture Shock, the exploitation of J1 cultural exchange workers. One of the things that Beau did is he exploited the J1 visa. Well, what is the J1 visa?
Wait, are we ever going to get into what Beau did?
All America has to offer. They hope to pay their way by working a summer job as they experience a new culture and learn English. They work in our hotels, restaurants, fast food chains, and amusement parks. They're J1 guest workers. The J1 Visa Summer Work Travel Program. Congress created this program 50 years ago to increase mutual understanding between the people of the United States and people of other countries by means of educational and cultural exchange. Foreign youths pay American job placement agencies designated by the Department of State called sponsors to be placed with U.S. employers in jobs that offer cultural exchange opportunities and for trainees and interns professional job training. Now, employers are using the program to fill labor needs, transforming a program designed to foster international goodwill into a source of cheap, exploitable labor. For the employers, the program offers a way to cut labor costs. Employers do not have to pay payroll taxes for J1 workers. The savings an employer can realize by not paying an employee's Medicare, Social Security, or federal unemployment tax, around 8% on its total payroll expenses, have led staffing agencies to promote the program as an inexpensive labor force. The sponsors and their overseas partners.
Yeah, but I think Mike just like hit record on OBS and was like, fuck it, let's go.
The groups that recruit and screen participants are reaping a windfall by charging J1 workers hundreds or even thousands of dollars in fees to participate in the program. These fees are completely unregulated, and students and their families often fall into debt to pay them and other travel expenses. This recruitment debt leaves students vulnerable to exploitation. Faced with pressure to pay off loans, students and interns may opt to endure workplace abuse until they can return home. This is exactly what happened with Beau. He took in hundreds of women from Romania and Bulgaria and other places around the world and charged them thousands of dollars in fees in order to exploit them. And here it is. When these workers aren't on the job, they are often forced to live in overcrowded housing.
Wait,
with other J1
this isn't about
workers.
what Beau has done. He's just reading off of like this thing. Can we get to the evidence? What is this?
They are frequently paid less than the minimum wage after their employer makes excessive deductions for housing, uniform, transportation, and other expenses. Some J1 workers discover they must work a second job just to survive. But this is more than a story of debt and disappointment. It has some young students at risk of human trafficking and other nefarious activity. And you notice this footnote. That is USA versus Berman et al. This is the case that convicted Beau of alien smuggling. It was J1 SWT students used in labor trafficking scheme in the Florida Panhandle.
All right.
Let's discuss these charges even more in depth. Now you know what they were doing. They were exploiting young students and young women from Romania, Bulgaria, and Eastern Europe to come here and work. What exactly was the process? What were they doing? How was Beau profiting? How was Beau exploiting them? Why was he charged with alien smuggling? What was the crime that he committed? This is, the next document we're going to review, is the Florida Strategic Plan on Human Trafficking from Florida State University, and this was paid for by the Florida Bar Association.
Wow.
The goal of which was to improve Florida law and examine the major human trafficking cases that took place. So this is the Destin King labor trafficking case. King, that is Justin King, or Beau. Labor trafficking is not confined to Florida's agricultural sector, but is increasingly found in Florida's hospitality and tourism industries as well. Labor trafficking. These are not my words. This is not my interpretation. This is the view of the Center for Child Welfare and the Florida Bar Association. This is the view of his activities.
The Florida Panhandle was the location of a criminal investigation that culminated in the 2008 conviction of both U.S. citizen Justin King and a number of Russian nationals for smuggling aliens to work in Florida resorts. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office had for several years been scrutinizing patterns of labor trafficking in the area of Destin and Fort Walton Beach. Beginning in as early as 1999, Russian nationals Anna, Alexander, and Stan began supplying young Eastern European men and women to Panhandle resorts for janitorial and maid services. Operating under the name of Eurohouse Holding Corporation, they brought the Eastern European workers to the Florida Panhandle for short-term work on temporary J1 or H-2B visas. Now, those J1 visas we talked about already. Those were the cultural exchange visas. He also fraudulently created H-2B visas, which is our temporary work visas. The vast majority of the workers were females between the ages of 19 and 23. Moreover, most were also students who were intent upon returning after several months to their homes in Eastern Europe to continue their studies. So the reason why I'm bringing this up and why we are going in such depth is one of the lies that Beau tells was that he was working as a private military contractor to rescue Jews from Uzbekistan and other, quote, exploited and dangerous, exploited people.
Would have been really good to include those quotes from him here so that we could know that that's actually what we're talking about. But I'm assuming we're not going to probably weave anything into this video.
That he was the good guy. He was fighting against the man. He didn't believe in open borders. When in reality, what he was convicted of was defrauding and exploiting vulnerable young women from Eastern Europe. And we're going to get into those details. This is disgusting behavior. And he continues to lie and dissemble about this past. Many had been promised non-existent jobs when they were recruited in their home countries. Upon their arrival in the Florida Panhandle, they were instead employed for substandard wages by Eurohouse and assigned to work in local hotels and resorts. Eurohouse operated as a labor subcontractor, providing services to hotels such as the Sandestin Hilton. Eurohouse was able to offer the low bid on labor contracts precisely because they did not pay federal minimum wages to their employees. Beau brought women here with his co-conspirators.
Why does he, was it all women? Why does he keep saying women so much? Is it just to make us feel bad because women are like shit? Is that, or is it actually like focused on women? It might be focused on women. I'm just curious. I hear him say women so much.
Did not pay the federal minimum wage.
Federal minimum wage.
Which at the time was $7.25 an hour.
Oh my
They
God.
further charged the students between $1,500 and $2,500 each for visa processing, job placement, and transportation fees. Now do the math. If you're making $7.25 an hour and someone charges you $2,500, that is an incredible amount of money.
Wait, why not do the math? It would make your video sound better. This isn't that hard. They would have to work over 340 hours to pay that fee off. That's a pretty big deal. I don't know why he wouldn't just break out a calculator and do that real quick, but okay.
And when you look at the scale of what Beau did, it was hundreds of people. And it led to over $3.2 million in profit from these exploited workers. In addition, the young workers were charged to stay 15 to 20 persons per condominium through a variety of locations throughout the Panhandle. So imagine this, coming to America under false promises, finding that the job you had been indicated you were going to work at didn't exist, and that you were charged $250 a month to move into a condominium with 20 other people. That was what he was doing. He was charging them $250 in rent per person and jamming them into an apartment.
I like how he tries to say, Mike is probably, his brain probably just doesn't really work that well. But I like how he's trying to say this isn't a personal attack, rather than like actually going through the facts of the matter. Notice how like almost 90% of this video has been Mike grandstanding, right? Like $7.25 an hour, young women. This is what he was like. Just we'll go over the facts of the case. Like just go over like his conviction or whatever. Like let's just like if that's what you want to do. Because right now this is just like a big like assassination hit piece, right? It might be true, I guess, but like that's all he's doing right now, right? Like is like trying to assassinate him, basically. I think it's like, I'm not trying to cancel anybody. And then the whole thing is just like moral grandstanding over all of it. Like, not to say that it wasn't bad, but just get to the point.
Apartment with 20 other people. This is despicable. Enforcement was carried out by verbal abuse, threats of violence, and threats of fines or non-payment of wages. So when the women came here, remember, majority of them, 19 to 23, they were kept in line by threats of violence and threats of fines and non-payment of wages. What would you call this? Almost all the young workers had a plane ticket allowing them to return to their home countries at the end of the summer tourism season. But they would have incurred substantial costs were they to try to fly home at an earlier date. The labor trafficking conspiracy overall proved lucrative and seemingly insulated from law enforcement oversight. Because the victims were exploited on a temporary basis, they most often simply chose to return home at the end of the summer without reporting the exploitation or participating in the investigation. That was the scam. These women were not brought here as refugees. They were not brought here as long-term migrants. They were brought here under false pretenses with false promises, exploited, and then sent home. And the only person who was profiting was Beau and his co-conspirators. The pattern finally changed in 2003 with the exploitation of a group of foreign nationals, predominantly from Bulgaria and Romania. With their assistance,
the funny thing is, he's reading all this stuff prior to this, but I don't think Beau joined until 2005. Beau's name is Justin King, right? Does anybody know if that's the case? He's Justin King? Yeah. I'm sorry. I read this on my other monitor in like 2 minutes, and I feel like I have more information than this whole fucking stupid video so far. So a Florida man has been convicted on 7 counts of visa fraud and alien smuggling for his role in bringing aliens to work at major hotels and resorts in the Destin, Florida area. FLA? I don't know. Okay. Assistant blah, 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 blah. Justin King, 27, Chipley, FLA. That can't be Florida, right? Was convicted following a 6-day jury trial in the Northern District of Florida in Pensacola of 1 count of conspiracy to commit visa fraud, 5 counts of visa fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit alien smuggling. Evidence presented to the jury showed that the conspiracy began as early as 1999 and escalated in 2003 when King's co-conspirators successfully brought in more than 200 aliens to work as hotel housekeepers using fraudulent visas. King joined the conspiracy in 2005 and created and mailed fraudulent visa applications seeking more than 1,500 additional aliens. So it sounds like King was doing like the visa fraud part, like making fraudulent visas. So I like how he's read all of this up to this point. The pattern changed in 2003, but like King didn't join until 2005. Not to say that makes it better or worse, but like he's making it sound like like Beau is like literally walking around like harassing young women. Florida is the abbreviation for Florida, FLA, and the AP style. Oh, hold on to the edge of your seats, ladies and gentlemen.
Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office discovered a further criminal conspiracy that involved even more extensive visa fraud and alien smuggling on the part of Eurohouse officials. Now remember, it's not just the alien smuggling. He didn't just have people pay him to set up fraudulent visas. They brought them here and then they forced them to work for less than minimum wage. The ensuing investigation also revealed that U.S. citizen Justin King, Beau, was employed as the frontman for Eurohouse, negotiating new contracts with hotel owners and communicating with state and federal agencies to further their conspiracy. As part of his role in the criminal operation, King submitted over 1,000 fraudulent visa applications. King and his co-conspirators were found to have brought in over 200 foreign nationals to work as hotel housekeepers through the use of these illegally obtained visa. Evidence presented at trial showed that King and his co-conspirators had used forged hotel letterheads to further their scam. Most of the foreign national workers brought in through the fraudulent visa scheme were eventually contracted out to hotels and resorts other than those who had been supposedly sponsored them for their visa. Finally, it was revealed that when the federal government had become suspicious and stopped issuing visas to Eurohouse, King and the other defendants continued their fraudulent activity under the guise of a new labor contracting company called Woland. King was convicted on 7 counts of visa fraud and alien smuggling and sentenced to 41 months in prison. His co-conspirators received 18, 23, and 12 months in prison. They were also found liable for a joint forfeiture of over $1 million. So this is why it is human trafficking. He didn't just bring these people over for a fee. These were not people that were brought here to survive after difficult circumstances. These were not refugees. These were exploited workers who were brought here under false pretenses, paid below the minimum wage, and he pocketed over $1 million
Yeah, we need more proof of that. We have no idea how much he got paid for any of this.
What the hell? Curiously, human trafficking charges were not part of the prosecution. And this is the point that Beau loves to say. That is why, at the beginning of this video, Beau pointed out that he had been convicted of alien smuggling, not human trafficking. Quote, there is a difference. It's true. He wasn't charged with human trafficking. He was charged with alien smuggling and found guilty. But the facts are clear. He engaged in human trafficking. The U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Florida would later note that the criminal behavior had in fact included all of the elements that would establish forced labor under Title 18, Section 1589. In particular, the use of labor attained through false promises, through threats of serious harm, or through abuse of law or legal process, i.e. threats of deportation. This is not my view. This is the view of the U.S. Attorney. Why didn't they prosecute? I do not know. Federal prosecutors have complete discretion. And maybe they felt that it would be better and easier to secure a conviction of Justin if they didn't bring in the trafficking charges. For many people, trafficking is they imagine a kidnapped person, a person threatened with a gun, person forced into sex work. But that is not the only thing that human trafficking can mean.
I don't know if Apple is or esports Batman is here, but my understanding is that when you're doing a trial by jury, I don't know if it's the prosecution or the judge will explain to the jury, this is what you need in order to convict for a certain crime. Like, I don't think they just randomly throw the jury out there and it's like, good luck figuring everything out. Like, I'm pretty sure they talk to them about like, oh, okay, well, a conviction will be this, blah, 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 blah. I'm pretty sure that's part of the jury process.
As we explained on the United Nations definition of human trafficking, it involves exploitative use of deception, threats, or profit. And that includes economic exploitation, like we saw here. The King labor trafficking case is a very clear indicator of the degree to which forced labor and abusive labor practices may have permeated the Florida hotel and tourism industries in recent years. The Eurohouse investigation furthermore revealed that numerous companies acting as temp labor staffing agencies are operating throughout Florida and the nation. Many of these agencies are owned and operated by people from Eastern Europe or states of the former Soviet Union. There appears to be a high degree of interconnectivity between the companies, strong indicators of organized crime, and similar patterns of exploitation practiced by the suspect companies. Ongoing investigations of labor trafficking throughout Florida also demonstrated that U.S. citizens are increasingly involved in the exploitative practices. They operate what have been referred to as quasi-legitimate companies, relying once again on the labor of foreign nationals who arrive on J-1 or H-2B visas. These labor leasing companies are recruiting laborers from countries not traditionally associated with providing workers for Florida's hospitality industries. The gaps in Florida law, because they are unlicensed, and these labor leasing companies in Florida are not subject to DBPR investigations or sanctions. The Florida Labor Pool Act addresses day laborers but does not cover seasonal workers. And a similar gap exists in Florida migrant labor laws. These gaps are the invitation for exploitative labor practices, and they need to be readdressed immediately by legislative and regulatory responses. Hundreds of victims are estimated to be exploited annually in this manner throughout Florida. So thus far, we have examined the case. And it's not just from police officers or cops, but rather it's from the direct testimony of the women that are exploited. The women who had their paychecks stolen, the women who were charged exorbitant fees, the women who were not given paid overtime, even when they worked more than 40 hours. And Justin King, Beau, knew about it. And so when he says he was just an alien smuggler, he is lying to you. And this is why he's refused to discuss the case, because he knows that the facts are damning. Here I will draw your attention to the direct testimony of one of the women who was exploited. Her name is Tanya. I can hear some of you right now objecting. Beau was just a paper pusher. He was filling out the visas as he was instructed to do. He was filing paperwork. Who cares about U.S. immigration law? It's unjust. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I believe in open borders and a just immigration policy. But no matter what our immigration policy is, people like Beau and the activities that they engaged with should never be permitted. He exploited these young women. He stole their paychecks. And no, he wasn't just a paper pusher. He was directly involved in every aspect of the criminal conspiracy, of the exploitation
We need evidence of that, but
of these workers, of this class treachery. I will draw your attention now to the testimony from Tanya, one of the many women that he exploited. Well over 200 women from Bulgaria and Romania were exploited in this fashion. I will show you her testimony and how King was directly involved in every aspect of the exploitation. Yes, I did, probably after a couple of months. And I had been promoted as an inspector of housekeeping, which is a supervisor of housekeeping, inspecting rooms. How much was your raise? How much money? I started getting $8 an hour. 8 an hour? Nods head. Your visa was scheduled to end in November of 2005. Did anybody at the Euro House offer to file some type of petition to get an extension on your visa? Yes, they did offer to file an extension. It's important here to look and see that she was supposed to be getting $8 an hour. But this next segment is incredibly important. It shows the fraudulent scheme to pile fees and charges on these women to create a condition of peonage, of debt slavery, where they were forced to work for basically nothing. Who offered to file the extension for you? I spoke with Mr. Justin King and I spoke with Stan from Eurohouse. So I've been told they are offering extensions. They are going to...
okay, I don't know if Mike is capable of, I don't even know if he understands what's happening here. So I'll explain these types of fraudulent things the way that I understand them, in case you're not following along. So I think the way that this type of smuggling usually works is you're in another country and basically you've got poor people there, their jobs are shit, they have nothing. And you're like, hey, listen, I can get you a life in America where you are making tons of money. Okay, I'm gonna get you a life in America. You're gonna be making so much money. It's gonna be awesome for you. Just fill out some paperwork, come to the United States and work, and man, it's gonna be so good. And what happens is the person will see the written rates, like, oh my God, I'm gonna get like $10 an hour. This is so cool. It's gonna be amazing for my family. I'm gonna send money back. It's gonna be awesome, remittance, And what'll happen is you'll get somebody to agree to it, but then when they're actually transported to the United States, what happens is when they arrive in the US, the people are like, okay, we're not actually gonna pay you that much. We're paying you like $5 an hour. Also, there's a bunch of fees attached to what you're doing. And if you try to leave early, we're gonna charge you even more money. So now you're basically stuck here working as like quasi slave labor, basically. That's how these types of scams essentially work out.
Provide for me. And I wanted to be loyal to my employer. I was thinking that was the right thing to do. I have a visa from them, so I should extend. So you were going to work longer at the embassy suites then? Yes. How much were they going to charge you for the visa extension? They told me the extension was going to cost $1,154. Now, earlier we discussed the Southern Poverty Law Center report on the abuse of J1 visas and H2B visas, where the charge of fees, the costs, was completely unregulated. And King had no legal expertise, and he was committing fraud when he filed these applications. King had no legal experience. This charge of $1,154 was totally unregulated and totally unwarranted, the purpose of which was to divert this woman's wages into King's own pocket. Now, in order for this visa extension to occur, did anybody bring you a new written agreement for you to stay on with Eurohouse for a longer time? Yes, Justin King bring me the new agreement, which I need to sign. That's the seasonal employment agreement that Mr. King brought you? Yes. And where did you? You said he brought it to you. Where did he bring this agreement to? At the housekeeping office in Embassy Suites Hotel. So you were actually working the day he brought this to you? Yes. And it was Justin King that brought you Government's Exhibit 102? Yes, ma'am. Now, did Justin King, did he actually know through this offer and apply for it for a visa extension for you? Yes, ma'am, he did. Did he ever tell you that when he was applying for this visa extension that you weren't going to be able to work at the Embassy Suites where you were making $8 an hour and that you were going to have to go over and work at the blank golf resort? No. He never told you that you were going to have to change hotels? No. I'm going to show you what's already been introduced into evidence. That's Government Exhibit 104. Do you recognize this? Yes. That is my extension of my visa, which I did with Eurohouse. And this is the extension that Mr. King got for, I think you said you paid $1,154? Yes, ma'am, that's correct. Can you read the amount received on this document? Yes, ma'am. The petitioner, the listed petitioner here, ma'am, if you could read that and just tell me whether or not that says Rodenhouse, Eurohouse DBW blank resort. He never told you that you were going to change hotels? No. And one of the things that's important to notice is that not only was Mr. King totally involved with every aspect of this, he personally went to the hotels where these women were working at. He knew that they were being exploited. He knew how much they were being charged for these visa extensions. He knew how they were paying for it. How were they paying for it? Let Tanya's continuing testimony paint you the picture. The first paycheck we have here says the date down at the bottom, the pay period's 12/10/2005 to 12/23/2005. Do you agree? Yes, that's correct. And then 78.7 hours at $8 an hour, and this looks to be your year-to-date total pay. Would you agree? Yes. And then this $629.60. There was an additional fees for $354. What were those additional fees that you were having to pay? Those are the withholding for my extension, which had been done not once, but 3 different checks. That was $1,154 for my extension, the visa. So they took it out over time? Yes. So after working 78.7 hours that month, you made a sum total of $210.60? That's correct. Just so we have a back of the envelope calculation. She made only $200.60 for 78.7 hours of work. How much is that per hour? Well, if we do a calculation quickly, that number is a mind-boggling $2.68 an hour. Justin King charged this woman more for her extension than she ended up taking home. And remember, they were also charging that woman $250 in rent per month to live in a condominium with 20 other people. Furthermore, it didn't just end there. They also committed overtime fraud. When in the United States of America, when you work more than 40 hours a week, you must be paid.
Why does Mike hate this guy so much? I think some of this drama got stirred up again on the BreadTube subreddit. So I think Mike is just really, really, really desperate to be the first mover on this because he wants it to blow up really big so that he can get like a lot of YouTube clout off of like exposing Beau, basically.
Time and a half for every hour after those 40 hours. That means if you were making $8 an hour like Miss Tanya, for the 41st hour, you're supposed to be making $12 an hour. That is federal law. In order to get around that requirement, Justin King created a second company to write a second paycheck. The first paycheck was from Eurohouse, the company that he ran. The second was from another corporation that was invented for the purpose of paying her while she didn't know about our overtime rules. What about overtime, Ms. Tanya? When you received paychecks from Eurohouse, were you provided overtime or time and a half? No. Were they break up your paychecks and put 40 hours on one? Yes. They were giving 2 separate checks. We were new in the country and I didn't know, and they told me that's the way it has to be. And I was thinking that was normal. And you didn't know any better? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, I would like to enter Exhibit 131A and B. Are these your paychecks? Yes, that's my paychecks. Do you recognize that? Did you turn these paychecks over to the federal agents? Yes, I did. The first paycheck we have here says, the date down at the bottom, the pay period's 12/10/2005 to 12/23/2005. And then at 78.7 hours at $8 an hour, this looks to be the year to end date total pay. Would you agree? Yes. And then let's skip on down. This particular one says that you worked 80 hours at $8 an hour for $640. Do you agree? Yes, that's correct. You had taken out $67 for federal withholding.
Correct.
Do you agree? Yes.
Yes.
And then let's go down to the bottom on this check stub, on this particular one. It says you work 6.5 hours at $8 an hour. Is that correct? $52? Yes. Was that the same pay period? That 12/24? Yes. That is the separate check that I had been given on the same time, the same day, that gave me 2 separate checks. And this particular, the one that had your overtime hours, was that one purportedly issued by a company in the name of AA Limited? Yes. And then your full-time hours, did that pay stub say Eurohouse? Yes. You said Mr. King brought you the extension of your agreement with Eurohouse to the Embassy Suites. Did Mr. King know that you actually worked at Embassy Suites full-time? Yes, he did. Who would give you your paychecks, Ms. Tanya? Justin King, the secretary of Eurohouse. Do you see the individual that you know as Justin King in the courtroom today? Yes, he's here. Your Honor, if the record would reflect that she's identified the defendant. That is not the words of the government, not the words of the cop, but the words of one of the women who was exploited, who was charged thousands of dollars to be there, over $1,000 to get there, and another $1,100 when she was there. And then she was worked at $7.25 an hour and forced to pay off those fees and rent. $2.68 an hour. No wonder Mr. King was able to go around to resorts and underbid other workers, other companies who were paying their workers full-time wages. That is who Beau is. That is exploitation. That is despicable. Now that you've heard how Tanya was exploited, you must keep in mind that there were hundreds of others in similar situations.
Yes.
Brought to the U.S. under false pretenses, paid sub-minimum wage, charged extreme rent and crowded housing conditions, and then paid so little when they worked so much.
Yes.
Overtime fraud, and additionally, unregulated fees that forced these women into sub $3 an hour paychecks. That is what they did. And it was very, very lucrative. After his conviction, Justin was forced to return over $1 million that was exploited from these women. Imagine that, $1 million. Now, let's see what Justin says about this behavior. How does he characterize what you have heard, which is outright exploitation of vulnerable young women for his personal profit? How does he describe it? When he went on the Lions of Liberty right-wing podcast.
To know you a little bit better. So tell us a bit about yourself. I know you come from a background as a military contractor. So how did you get from there to where you are now, running this really amazing, if I do say so myself, news and commentary site?
Well, I was a military contractor for about 8 years. I did mostly non-governmental work. And at one point, we angered the federal government, and I got my door kicked in. And I kind of realized at that point that I might have better uses for my skills. And that brought me to journalism because I could shoot a gun and I could shoot a camera. So I started with Digital Journal, which is a small Canadian outlet. I moved to the Anti-Media and then the Fifth Column.
Wow, let's just take a step back for a second. So can you tell us a little bit more about, I mean, I don't know how much you can detail, maybe legally, but what went on there with that whole incident there with getting your door kicked in? Was that because of something the company you were working for had done? Or, so was that something that you were under investigation for? Can you detail that a little bit more?
Well, basically, I worked for a company that did refugee recovery. We got refugees out of bad countries, whether it be Eastern Europe, Central Asia, wherever. We started working in Uzbekistan, and this much is my personal theory. Uzbekistan was a U.S. ally at the time. They were also really, really, really evil to Jewish people. We were getting them out, and we were visited by State Department, and they told us to stop. And I don't know if you've ever met any military contractors, but when you say something like that to them, especially when they've already been paid, you're likely to get, middle finger, which is what happened.
So it's important to remind you that the J-1 visa, the cultural exchange visa, was issued and regulated by the State Department. On the contrary to what he's claiming there, the State Department was aware that Eurohouse was issuing fraudulent visas using forged letterhead of hotels in order to get these women into the country. And they stopped allowing him to apply for visas under the company name.
What? Mike is so bad at what he does. Well, I guess all he does is he screeches and screams. I think there's like a decent video in this, that's like 5 minutes long. You could edit together better. So it's pretty clear that I wish this would have been closer to the front. So Beau is obviously lying about what his company did and the extent of his involvement, which is very fucking weird considering all of this information is publicly available. The idea that Beau was some heroic coyote smuggling refugees out of whatever, that's not true. It sounded like what Beau did was Beau pushed paperwork for a company that brought in basically illegal immigrants to extort them as much as they could for their labor because they had no bargaining power. That's what it sounds like Beau did. So, and he's obviously misrepresenting what he's doing here. But this is like a 10-minute video tops. I feel like Mike could have done such a better job on this than his drivel over fucking 35 minutes. Not to mention the fact that he's thrown in some false things too for no reason. I think what Beau did was pretty bad. You obviously shouldn't be working with companies that are exploiting illegal immigrants like this. It's pretty shitty to do. But he's so bad at his presentation. Oh my God.
Eurohouse. They formed a second fraudulent company called Roland, where they continue to file these visas. And he wasn't doing it in Uzbekistan. He was doing it as part of an organized criminal conspiracy here in Florida, right in his hometown. So I would love to hear more about these Uzbeki Jewish refugees because they are not mentioned at all in his criminal conviction. They are women from Eastern Europe, former Soviet bloc countries of Romania and Bulgaria, not Uzbeki Jews. This is, without a doubt, a lie. So what should we do with Beau? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But what I do know is that we have an unrepentant human trafficker who is a major figure on the left here on YouTube. He goes around and lies about the behaviors that he perpetuated. He does not explain what he did to these women. And as far as I'm concerned, we cannot have someone advanced on the left, promoted by Google, promoted by the algorithm, promoted by now this, who is somebody who has exploited people like this. Imagine the damage that will be done to the movement if people find out that one of the most prominent voices on the left was a human trafficker who exploited hundreds of women for his own profit. We cannot complain about the labor conditions at Amazon. We cannot complain about the actions of people like Matt Gaetz if we allow this to go unanswered and underresponded. As I've shown you multiple times.
Well, but it already did. It sounds like he served 41 months in prison for it. What more do you want?
This video. Beau is not forthright and is not contrite. For redemption to occur, and I believe in rehabilitative justice. I believe in redemption. I believe in forgiveness. But in order for forgiveness to take place, remorse, genuine remorse, and accountability must be shown. And that is not what has happened with Beau. Beau has gone and misled people about the details of this case. He has refused to discuss further his background and how much he personally profited. As I think I've demonstrated clearly in this video, no matter what you may think of the presenter, Beau is the person who has profited personally from the exploitation of literally hundreds of people, paying them sub-minimum wage, forcing them into private apartments with up to 20 people at a time. And he made, and co-conspirators made. That is unacceptable. And we must reckon. If we are going to be advocates for immigration, for advocates for the downtrodden, advocates for people that are oppressed, we must hold our own accountable. Beau, you must respond.
Like 2 or 3 live raids deep right now. Can I have Vadim and Thoughts I'm on? I can do that.
Oh fuck, is he done?
Let's raid Destiny. Oh
no,
yeah,
he's stop.
I think that's definitely what chat would love. Sure, I wouldn't get in trouble. Raid Demon Mama. Raided Demon Mama last time I was streaming. I raided the Antifada last 2 times, Mike.
You're currently timed out in chat.
Simpson.
Which loser timed me out? Wait, how do I see which fucking piece of shit mod timed me out?
Radical or Antipodine Squid? One of the two. Raid Trixler. I don't know who that is, Deacons. Nardwar is on. I raided Nardwar last time. Great Antifada, keep this drama away from the video games. Okay.
I already messaged him on Discord. He like never checks his Discord, or he just ignores me, I guess. I don't know.
The Antifada. There we go.
Oh, rip. Well.
My mod just banned Destiny. Like, oh, he wants to talk. I'll message him. But what? I'm literally raiding out of my stream. My stream is ending for the night. Did a mod actually ban Destiny? I think that's a joke. I'll check it. Can I avoid talking about Beau tomorrow? Not if there's no news about it. All right, hey, I love you all and you're valid. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I unbanned. Oh, it was Decoy. Decoy was being silly. Is it Decoy? Aren't you part of that community? He was timed out for a minute. Ah, got it. Okay. All right. You're not in trouble. All right, yeah. We'll do more.
Well, fuck. I don't think there's anything else here to dig into this. Is there any other questions? Beau's response. Let's talk about me.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again.
Careful.
So today is going to be a little different.
Uh-oh.
Today we're going to talk about me. Something I normally don't do on this channel. I try to make this channel about ideas, not the person presenting them. The story starts months ago, from what I understand, I think before the election. But I don't know the story's taking place yet. A non-government organization saw my content. They're like, well, we can use this. And they started paying to have it run as like ads when people would search for something bad. When they would search for how to join a bad group or a militant group. Or when they would search for how to do something horrible. They would see my smiling face. They'd see that thumbnail, the idea, they click on it, they watch it, and they get de-radicalized.
The guy who banned Destiny also donated like 200 subs to him.
Pretty cool. Now, over the years, I've gotten messages from some of you saying that, you know, you're on a bad road, and my videos help get you off of it. And to me, those were the wins. That's what really mattered, actually creating some change there. So a couple months ago, when I find out this is happening, and a group that is dedicated to de-radicalizing people, find out they were using my content, man, I was flattered, very proud. Nobody asked me if they could use my content, but to be completely fair on this one, had they come to me and said, hey, this is what we're going to do, I would have said yes. I think it's amazing. It's a great program. I wanted to make a video about it then, when I found out it was going on. But I couldn't. I made a tweet about it, I couldn't make a video. Because in order for this to work, it has to at least somewhat appear organic. You know, if you were searching for something horrible, and my video helped get you off that road, and you continued watching videos, and then you stumbled across one that says, hey, that thing that happened to you, that was totally intended. You might feel tricked. It might undo the good that was done. So I couldn't talk about it as much as I wanted to. Couldn't make a video. Couldn't imagine anybody not wanting a program like that to succeed.
You gifted subs to me, thank you.
It's amazing, the idea.
Wait, who? Oh, the Decoy guy gifted subs to me. Is that the same guy? Is that one of Mike's Oilers that gives Mike like thousands of subs? I think Mike has like 2 Oilers that like keep his whole shit afloat. There's like 2 people that give thousands of subs to him. That Decoy Octopus might be one of them.
Of using just ads and content that already exists to stop violence.
It's so crazy to me. I think one of the most disappointing things one of the things that disappoints me the most about you guys is when I find where my overlap is of fans sometimes. So like, I might feel good where it's like, oh cool, like oh my god, like I have these fans or whatever. But then I see them walk around and it's like, oh, I really like Mike from PA, and it's like, oh fuck, you're like that. Oh well, wow. I guess that makes me view it a little bit differently, huh?
Violence to save lives. I don't see how that could be a bad thing, but apparently there are some. There are some. Because a whole bunch of information started getting pushed out about me. Now, I don't know. I don't want to assign a motive. I don't know if it was directed specifically at me or it was an attempt to delegitimize and undermine the program. I don't know which. I don't really want to speculate.
Wait, who?
But,
what? Does this have anything to do with
me? Some of it's silly. He plays up his accent. And we talked. The idea was to paint it that this program shouldn't use people like me. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
This has nothing to do with the trafficking stuff. You guys, who linked this? Fuck, who just joined?
Yo.
Oh, hello. It's Dylan. The great deceiver.
Did you see the suspect sushi? I can post the full logs, okay?
Oh, I don't give a fuck. I just noticed it. It stuck out at me. Have you been following the Beau of the Fifth stuff?
No, I heard. Okay, so I know Mike posted a video about it, right?
Yeah, Mike's video is just a shit show. So if you basically want to know what happened, so Beau of the Fifth, it sounds like what he was doing was he was working as somebody that was basically running illegal visas for a company that was just basically bringing in over illegal immigrants, telling them they could get work, then kind of scamming them once they got here, and then getting them locked into like kind of like weird indentured servitude programs. So I think this happens like in Dubai, where you bring over immigrants. They're like housed like 20 people in a facility. They've got to pay like these weird $1,500 fees. It's super. Yeah, it sounds like Beau was basically writing up illegal visas for this company, and then he was caught as part of this conspiracy. He was convicted. He spent 41 months in prison for this. That's basically what happened. Yeah.
He spent 41 months in prison for this.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the premise of Mike's video? Like, we should like just like kick him out of the left or something?
Well, Mike explicitly said he doesn't want to cancel him. I don't know why he said that, because the entire video is him, him just trying to cancel him. So, yeah.
What do you think about it?
I mean, obviously it's really shitty. You shouldn't be fucking helping to funnel illegal immigrants. You were basically trafficking or working as like with the traffickers, which is bad. But I mean, he served his time in prison. I hope he's not doing it anymore. So yeah, I don't really care about it now.
Did Beau post a response or say anything about it?
Beau hasn't responded yet. One issue that I would take, though, modern day, is if you listen to Beau describe his involvement, it's really dumb. Because Beau makes it sound like he was like a coyote that was like shuffling illegal immigrants to freedom. Yeah, or like he was like, oh, we would help refugees in Uzbekistan or whatever. And that doesn't sound at all like what he was doing. They were just finding people in like Eastern Europe, bringing them over, exploiting them. And he was working as like a visa thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if that's what he did, that's fucking horrible. But obviously, like, he served prison time. Is he doing it anymore? Does he have remorse about it, I guess? If he's like, what I did was fine, then I guess that would be different, right?
Well, so if I take a highly nuanced view of it, so he served the prison time and everything, obviously, which is good if we think we should go to prison for that.
How long was he in prison for?
41 months.
Okay.
The maximum conviction, I think he was looking at up to 5 years, but I guess the problem is that when he describes it to other people, he makes it sound like he was part of some hero coyote program, which definitely isn't the case. Now, it's possible that he just does that because he knows if people find out what he really did, he'd be canceled and never allowed to do online politics. Or maybe he truly doesn't believe he did anything wrong, which would be surprising. But yeah.
I mean, like, if he's describing it like it was a hero coyote program, then he's been lying about it, right?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, obviously, the way that he characterizes it is definitely not true.
So that would be terrible, that he lied about it, like try to paint himself as a hero when he's really the villain.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like Batman. He's supposed to be the hero, but he's truly the villain at the end.
Okay, Beau. Beau needs to come out. Beau, if you're listening to me, somebody that likes your videos, this is the only thing you can do. You can say, hey guys, what's up? Howdy y'all, it's Beau here. I got some things I want to talk about. I done made a lot of mistakes in my past. I paid for them. I went to prison. I did my time. And now I want to move past it. Thank y'all very much. That's your video, okay? This whole, like, I can't talk about it. I could sue people for this, blah, blah, blah. This ain't it, chief. Also, please stop saying that you can sue people for, you can't sue anybody for making a video about you that you don't like, okay? At this point, I have no interest in suing your buddy. I could sue. No, you can't. You cannot sue. Don't pretend you can. Stop. Beau, all you gotta do, listen, you did your time, just say you did your time. And that's it. And then move past it. You can't rewrite history, okay? And we've got like a federal case, a federal conviction you've already served time for, all right? Did anything else happen with Mike and the Beau guy? Beau's kind of been like posting on Twitter, but I think he should probably stop. I don't think it makes him look good. Mike came out the better from that exchange, to be real. I guess Mike is just so bad at everything he does. But yeah, he might have come out better than Beau. It's hard to say. His video is so horrible, and it's
he didn't even like. It was pre-prepared, and he still winged it. Why?
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I think he was just really, really desperate to try to jump out onto the to get in ahead of the drama because he wanted to like be the first mover on it.
And the thing is for Beau is that it would look really self-serving, so it probably wouldn't work. But like, a good meme would be to point out that everybody trying to cancel him like doesn't really believe in restorative justice, etc.
Well, that's kind of my question, yeah. But I don't think Beau can ever like own this type of stuff because it just, I mean, like you're, you're literally like involved in human trafficking. It's pretty bad. Like,
yeah, it's pretty fucked.
You're
yeah.
a little. There's not many positive ways to spin that.
Ain't no worse than our elected officials, all right?
What?
I mean, there's the Gates thing, right? So, human trafficking really all that.
Undefined is his
I'm pretty sure Gates is gonna get fucked too. Like, He only has 5.7k views. How does he look good? No, I'm not saying Mike looks good. Mike's video is horrible. I don't know why. He just sucks at everything he does in terms of presentation. But the Beau guy, I don't know if the Beau guy could ever have. It's so weird. I feel like Beau should have gotten ahead of this because like arrest records and everything are pretty public. Like, and it was like it seemed like a pretty high-profile case. So, yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what his thought process was there. Seemed like he was dancing around the issue and his response continues to not look good. Yeah, he just needs to own it and then see if he can move on from there. But like I said, I'm pretty sure his thought process is probably just that like, you can never ever, if you do something like that, you're just never gonna be allowed to be a YouTube creator ever. Yeah, and then like a step further, I'm just so bewildered, right? I don't know how a lot of people do PR online, it's just really weird. I don't know why he would lie about it. Like, because that's probably, arguably, that's like maybe the worst part of what he did was that he's like telling people that like I was like a heroic like coyote, like bringing people like as refugees. Like what are you doing? Wait, why would you?
He was just helping immigrants find labor. Like
yeah, wait, why are you lying about this? This is so bad for you. Like that's so stupid. Why would you do that? I don't think the worst part was the hypocrisy. Well, the thing is that like he can walk away from it and say like, oh yeah, like I'm changed, blah, 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 blah. Like it's whatever happened in the past, I served my time. But when you're caught lying about it, I think that if you're being really charitable, I think it's possible that he did learn his lesson, but the reason why he lies about it is because he knows there's no way that he could ever defend it publicly. Or not defend it, but like say that like I learned, like you could never do that if we're being like really charitable. But the reality is that it's gonna make it look like you don't think what you did was bad, right? Do you think he's correct in that assessment? I think if he just owned it and moved on, most people would accept that. I don't know, it's hard to say. No, probably not actually. His initial assessment actually was probably correct. If he would have just opened up with saying like, guys, I've done bad stuff in my past, like blah, 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 I think people still would have canceled him. I don't think he could have ever gotten to where he is now. I think that the lying thing is pretty true, to be honest, given that rehabilitation image under cancel culture is, like if you're fucked, you're honest, it's easier to just lie, yeah.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.
The couch punch.
Why did the couch now move? Did you just hit the couch?
I just moved the couch back. I just nudged it.